In the borderlands where the mountains of southern Albania meet northern Greece, a geological labyrinth stretches beneath the earth. For centuries, villagers have spoken of sulfur-scented air leaking from hidden fissures, of warm vapors that rose from unseen rivers. These rumors led scientists to a network of caverns known simply as the Sulfur Cave. For most of modern history, it was ignored, dismissed as another small pocket of hydrothermal activity. But in 2022, when a joint expedition from the Czech Speleological Society and local researchers entered its deeper chambers, they found something that would rewrite cave biology. Inside, the team encountered a sight that defied expectation. Covering an entire section of the limestone wall was a pale, dense mass that looked at first like mineral deposit or fungus. When a flashlight beam struck it, it shimmered, thousands of silken threads glinting under the damp air. As the scientists approached, movement rippled across the surface. It was alive. They had stepped into the largest known spider web on Earth. Subsequent measurement placed the structure at roughly 106 square meters, or about 1,140 square feet of continuous silk. Two distinct spider species occupied it: Tegenaria domestica, the barn funnel weaver familiar to houses across Europe, and Prinarigone vagans, a smaller sheet weaver. Ordinarily, these species are solitary. Yet here, in perpetual darkness, more than 111,000 individual spiders shared a single interconnected structure. To date, no other documented web, in forests, grasslands, or man-made buildings, approaches that scale. The cave environment itself explains part of the mystery. The air is heavy with hydrogen sulfide, a toxic gas that reacts with water to form sulfuric acid. This acid slowly eats the limestone, widening cracks and carving smooth domes coated with gypsum crystals. Because sunlight never enters, there is no photosynthesis. Life here depends instead on chemical energy. Bacteria oxidize sulfur compounds, forming slimy biofilms on the rocks. Swarms of midge larvae feed on those bacteria. When they hatch into adult flies, they provide a constant food supply for the spiders waiting above. It is a complete food web driven not by sunlight but by chemistry, a process known as chemoautotrophy. Researchers from Charles University in Prague and the Hellenic Speleological Society mapped the colony in detail. They found that Tegenaria domestica constructed large funnel-shaped retreats connected by sheets of Prinarigone vagans silk. Instead of competing, the two species appeared to divide space efficiently. The larger spiders hunted the more active prey, while the smaller ones exploited the gaps. Under normal surface conditions, visual cues trigger aggression and cannibalism between such spiders. In the absolute darkness of the Sulfur Cave, those cues are absent, allowing peaceful coexistence. The result is a spontaneous, stable supercolony, a kind of social structure unknown in these species. The discovery was published in Subterranean Biology in October 2025 under the title An Extraordinary Colonial Spider Community in Sulfur Cave, Albania, Greece, sustained by chemoautotrophy. The authors describe not only the web's dimensions but its ecological context. Oxygen levels near the structure measured less than 10% of surface air, carbon dioxide was elevated, and hydrogen sulfide sometimes exceeded concentrations lethal to humans. Explorers had to wear respirators and limit exposure to under an hour. Yet in this hostile environment, life thrived. Laboratory examination of collected samples confirmed that both spider species were genetically distinct from their surface counterparts. DNA sequencing revealed mutations suggesting long isolation, perhaps thousands of years. The spiders' pigmentation was paler, their eyes reduced, and their metabolism slower, all typical adaptations to cave life. The colony's sheer size indicates that generations of spiders have been building and rebuilding the web for centuries, layering silk over silk until the structure reached its current scale. The ecological chain inside Sulfur Cave astonished biologists because it parallels ecosystems found at deep-sea hydrothermal vents. In both cases, bacteria use chemical reactions to produce organic material that fuels entire communities. Here, sulfur-oxidizing microbes replace oceanic vent bacteria, midge larvae act as grazers, and spiders serve as apex predators. It is the first known example of a chemosynthetic terrestrial food web, large enough to sustain top predators in numbers this high. The cave's physical location adds another layer of intrigue. The entrance lies near the Greek village of Kalathea, but underground passages extend north into Albanian territory beneath Mount Grama's political borders, however, mean little underground. Water, gas, and life flow freely between nations. Local authorities on both sides have cooperated to restrict access, fearing that unregulated tourism could damage the delicate ecosystem. Only a handful of trained speleologists have permission to enter. While most spiders spin new webs every few days, the sulfur cave structure appears semi-permanent. Measurements show that humidity remains above 95% year-round, preventing silk from drying or decaying. Calcium and sulfur crystals occasionally form on older threads, giving sections of the web a stony appearance. Beneath the main canopy, layers of old webbing trap sediment, creating a fibrous mat several centimeters thick. Scientists suspect the total mass of silk may exceed 15 kilograms, the equivalent of tens of millions of individual strands woven into a single architecture. To understand how so many spiders can coexist, researchers observed behavior through infrared cameras. They recorded no territorial fights, no cannibalism, and surprisingly little movement. The spiders remained motionless for hours, waiting for midges to blunder into the sticky sheets. When prey struck the web, multiple spiders often converged and fed simultaneously, each withdrawing afterward without aggression. This tolerance suggests an evolutionary adaptation to abundant resources and limited space, cooperation born from necessity. The discovery has implications beyond arachnology. It challenges long-held assumptions about how ecosystems form in isolation. It suggests that extreme chemical environments, once considered lifeless, may harbor complex communities, and it highlights how flexible animal behavior can become when traditional constraints, light, space, competition, are removed. As lead author Milan Janda noted in interviews, this colony shows that social organization can emerge spontaneously if the environment allows stability and food security. It may represent an early step in the evolution of sociality among spiders. For the researchers who first descended into the sulfur cave, the sight was unforgettable. In the glare of their headlamps, the silk shimmered like ice crystals, stretching from floor to ceiling. Thousands of faint reflections marked the eyes of waiting spiders. Every surface pulsed with the quiet rhythm of life adapted to poison and darkness. What had begun as a routine survey had revealed one of the planet's strangest biological wonders. The web inside the sulfur cave is not only a biological marvel, it is a glimpse into evolution's ability to adapt to extremes. In an environment filled with toxic gas, perpetual darkness, and limited oxygen, the spiders of this underground world have not merely survived, they have flourished. The structure they built stands as one of the most extensive examples of cooperative behavior ever recorded among non-social arachnids. For scientists, it is a living laboratory that raises profound questions about life's resilience and the boundaries of adaptation. When the first detailed analysis of the sulfur cave ecosystem was released, researchers emphasized that what made the discovery extraordinary was not only the size of the web, but the ecosystem that sustained it. The cave's subterranean stream releases hydrogen sulfide gas as it cuts through the limestone. Bacteria use this gas as their energy source, oxidizing sulfur to create organic matter. That bacterial film coats every surface, feeding dense populations of chironomid midges. The adult midges live only briefly, forming vast swarms that the spiders intercept. This constant cycle of microbial growth, insect emergence, and predation creates one of the few stable food chains known to exist without sunlight. The spider's coexistence may also be a product of this abundance. In ordinary conditions, food scarcity leads to competition. Here, food rains from the air in a steady rhythm, and competition loses its purpose. Laboratory studies of individuals collected from the cave reveal reduced aggression compared with surface populations of the same species. They tolerate close proximity and even overlap their webs without conflict. Genetic markers suggest that both species have been isolated long enough to accumulate unique traits: slower metabolism, lower oxygen tolerance, and altered pigmentation. Some individuals appear almost translucent, their bodies pale amber under magnification. Biologists studying the cave compare it to natural experiments in evolution. On the surface, these spiders are classic opportunists, each defending its own territory. Underground, they have become something else entirely. A collective organism, thousands of individuals linked by silk, functioning as a single unit. Every thread serves multiple purposes: structural support, prey detection, and even moisture capture. The result is a self-sustaining architecture that may have persisted through generations. Scientists estimate that if construction began centuries ago, the oldest layers of silk at the back of the cave could predate recorded exploration in the region. The implications extend beyond arachnology. The sulfur cave colony mirrors processes found in deep-sea ecosystems, polar ice, microbial mats, and hydrothermal vents, places once considered uninhabitable. The similarities suggest that chemical energy, not sunlight, may be a universal key to sustaining complex life. Astrobiologists have already taken note. The cave's sulfur-based ecosystem provides a model for potential life on other planets, such as the subsurface oceans of Europa or Enceladus, where sunlight never reaches but chemical reactions could support microbial networks. If spiders can indirectly depend on sulfur bacteria through an underground food chain on Earth, then comparable chains could exist elsewhere in the solar system. Despite the excitement, the discovery also poses a conservation challenge. The sulfur cave is fragile. A single careless visit could disrupt its delicate balance of humidity and gas concentration. The hydrogen sulfide that sustains the bacteria is also what protects the colony. It discourages most human intrusion. Still, researchers warn that even minor disturbances, artificial light, temperature shifts, or contamination, could collapse the entire system. For this reason, both Albanian and Greek environmental authorities have restricted access, and future studies rely on small teams equipped with respirators, non-invasive cameras, and remote sensors. The photographs released from the expedition show a scene that seems almost alien. The web glows faintly under artificial light, stretching across the ceiling in thick sheets. In places, it hangs like mist. In others, it forms rope-like cords supporting additional layers. Each section contains thousands of funnel openings where spiders wait motionless, their bodies suspended just above the threads. Dead insects accumulate below, forming a soft carpet of husks. It is a silent world, one that never sees daylight, yet vibrates constantly with the rhythm of countless tiny movements. The international response to the discovery has been immense. Scientific journals hailed it as a breakthrough in understanding cooperative behavior among solitary arthropods. Environmental organizations praise the collaboration between Greece, Albania, and the Czech Republic for protecting the site. News outlets from the New York Times to Scientific American and Euronews Green reported on the web, each emphasizing its size and its strangeness. A community of more than 100,000 spiders, building in unison, breathing poisonous air, and thriving where most life would perish. Further study is already underway. Researchers plan to sample the microbial mats more extensively, hoping to map the energy flow from bacteria to spider. Others are studying the physical properties of the silk itself, which may differ from surface silk due to constant humidity and exposure to sulfur compounds. Early results suggest that the silk resists decay longer than ordinary webbing and maintains elasticity even in high humidity, a property that could have future material science applications. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the sulfur cave is its isolation. Few people have seen it firsthand. There is no infrastructure, no path leading in. Explorers must crawl through narrow passages where oxygen drops dangerously low and every surface glistens with condensed acid. Beyond a certain point, communication fails, and the only sounds are dripping water and the faint hiss of escaping gas. In that suffocating silence, the colony waits, a massive web of interlinked lives functioning perfectly in a place that seems inhospitable to all others. What remains uncertain is how long the web has existed and whether it continues to grow. The rate of silk deposition, the lifespan of individual spiders, and the stability of the chemical ecosystem are still being studied. If the hydrogen sulfide stream ever shifts course or the cave becomes ventilated, the system could collapse within months. For now, it persists, delicate yet enduring, hidden in the border mountains between Albania and Greece, a biological monument built by creatures no larger than a fingernail. For scientists, the lesson is humility. The sulfur cave shows that even in the most unlikely conditions, life finds ways to organize, adapt, and thrive. Cooperation, once thought limited to social insects like ants and bees, has emerged independently here, driven not by complex communication but by environmental necessity. It is a reminder that nature's rules are flexible, that even in darkness and poison, new forms of community can evolve. The discovery also renews interest in exploring other sulfur-rich caves across the Balkans and the Mediterranean. Similar formations in Italy and Turkey may conceal comparable ecosystems awaiting study. Each new expedition could reveal another piece of the puzzle, how isolation, chemistry, and time sculpt new strategies for survival. As the researchers packed their equipment after documenting the web, one of them remarked that it felt like standing inside a single organism. Every strand seemed connected, every vibration echoed through the structure, and the entire colony moved as if breathing together. It is that image, a living, pulsating web stretching across stone, that now defines our understanding of the sulfur cave. Hidden beneath Europe's mountains, where two nations meet, the largest spider web on Earth continues its silent existence. It is not a legend, nor an exaggeration. It is a scientific fact, a structure built from silk and chemistry, as intricate as any cathedral and as ancient as the rock surrounding it. In that darkness, the spiders of the sulfur cave remind us that mystery still lives beneath our feet, waiting for light to find it.